Hello, Happy New Year, Happy 2022. My name is Christina Luna. I have been very excited about this moment for a long time. I am an astrologer, if you don't know me, and I've been reporting on the energies of the month ahead for the last couple of years. And I record readings for the collective, and then around this time of year, I also do a lot of personal readings for the year ahead. And through the month of December, I've recorded so many personal readings that this year, more than ever, there's a very, very clear pattern that's emerging for 2022. And I'm able to actually put it into context with 2020, 2021, and even seeing the trajectory that will set us up for 2023 and beyond. And so today I'm going to share with you the perspective that I have on these transits, on the cycles, on where we are as a human consciousness, how we're evolving through all of this. And I am just so grateful that you're here and you're watching. Full disclosure, I recorded this 24 hours before this moment so that I could be live watching this with you and in the chat answering any of your questions. So I am recording this on Wednesday, and I'm treating it as if I'm absolutely live with you right now. And so it feels, the amount of energy I'm feeling as I'm tapped into that, it's already like, it feels big. So I'm just so grateful that you're here. If this is your first time to my channel, please subscribe. Please share this video with others. Like the video so that we can have even more people joining us to watch this. I feel extremely grateful and fortunate to be able to tap into the field of consciousness that provides me these images that I translate for these readings. So I know that the more that I do this and the more that I expand my bandwidth through practices like this, and the more people that I reach, the broader the ripple effect of this work. So I appreciate you being a part of that. And I'm very grateful for any participation that you feel called to have with me. So I'm going to go ahead. I've actually created a presentation that will go over every single month of the year ahead. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. All right. So I am in the chats. I would be super happy to comment, to answer your questions. I would love to hear where you're from. So if you want to just leave a little hello, I'll be right there commenting back. So actually, I'm going to move this because it's blocking there you go. All right. So 2022 is the year of the water tiger. And I feel this is actually pretty important to pay attention to because in light of all of the different things we've been experiencing, we could definitely use some fierce emotional strength. And I feel that this year is going to be bringing some very fierce emotional strength, strong emotional security, strong physical, like embodied security. And I know the thing I know about jaguars and large cats is they walk this earth with nothing to hide and nothing to prove. They are fierce in their confidence. They walk their walk, they talk their talk, they protect what's valuable to them. They don't waste energy on things that they don't need to waste their energy on. They're invisible hunters. They don't need to they don't need to prove anything. And I feel absolutely that this year is setting us up to be those emotional, like fierce warriors. And we will have a certain level of confidence that we build through the course of this year. Now, as we open the year, there are some things that actually won't be changing a lot from last year. Last year, well, let me put it into context. In 2020, we received a new vehicle. We received a vehicle of, basically, there was 4 steps to that process. Basically, we received a vehicle with training wheels on it in the first quarter. The training wheels were taken off in the second quarter. Some people fell off their bicycles or their vehicles in the second quarter. And if you remember, this is when all of the shutdowns started happening, and a lot of fears arose. I consider those fears as moments when we fell off of our bicycle, or we fell off our creator faith, the faith that we have in our abilities to create and manifest our realities, the faith in how much power, personal power we actually have to adjust to our circumstances and adapt to new environments. So we tested that out in the second quarter, and there were some people that continued powerfully getting back on their bicycles of creation, getting back on their confidence and riding their bikes through the middle quarter, the third quarter. Some people did not, and they had plenty of time to get themselves back on the bike through 2021. So there were these like early adopter creators, and then there's been people getting on their own vehicles through the year that followed. So I feel that there was a lot of destruction and chaos in our lives, but for some people, there really wasn't. For some people, I heard reports that it was like the best couple of years of their lives, 2020 and 2021, because old constructs of their lives, old values, old sacred cows that they gave authority to, those sort of fell down and opened up opportunities for more fulfilling, more congruent, more ways of experiencing their lives. So different types of work, different types of relationship styles, different types of ways of looking at their health. So while 2020 sort of removed the old vehicles and introduced new vehicles, we had this opportunity in 2021 to actually do the hard work. It was the year of the ox. So we actually, some of us really put our intentions into building something sustainable. And I think that it was a year of uncertainty. We didn't have a lot of confidence necessarily as we opened 2021. We were all very humbled by this time. So man, if you think about it, if there was a demo crew that cleared out your old life and now you were kind of moving over the rubble and staking out where you're going to put your new foundation, really, you'd have to build this from the ground up. So I saw in 2021, we were all walking on this bare earth and taking the time to stake out the boundaries and parameters of our new lives and making sure that the soil that we were going to build this foundation on was actually clean and healthy. So in the middle of last year, we had this kind of moment where we were tilling the soil and we were bringing things up to the surface that we didn't even know were there. And a lot of us were pretty run through the mill during the middle of 2021. And absolutely, that's the best thing we could have done, because once we finished that process, we stepped into the fall with this okay, this is where I want to put my stakes. This is where I want to pour my foundation. This is the boundaries and the parameters of life that I want to be building moving forward. So that concrete was poured when the outer planets moved direct in October and November. So if you imagine it, you started pouring the concrete of the next part of your life, the next part of your journey. You've stepped into the container of understanding that you're a creator, and you began to actively invest your time, energy, and focus into the things that you truly value, with the intention of building something incrementally, understanding that all good things are grown one step at a time. So I feel we did that. We poured that concrete. We shook it to make sure that it was stable. Now with this Venus retrograde that started in December and into January, that concrete is setting up. Everything is solidifying. We're okay, this is grounded. This is real. This is happening. And this is the preparation for the framing of the next leg of the journey. So some people are stepping in more fully to this creator mindset of wow, I can build anything on top of this foundation. I have laid all of that field, you've done the hard work. You put your ox on last year and you set the firm foundation that you are going to build everything else upon. So these energies, these outer planets are kind of basically those were kind of in those degrees for the first time last year, and they're going to move only a little bit over the same exact terrain. So it kind of felt new last year. It felt like, whoa, I'm totally in this, I'm really in new terrain right now. And then this year we're going to be in the same terrain, but we have the confidence of remembering what it was like to be in that terrain last year. So it'll feel far more fierce and secure, actually, I predict. So let's talk about these outer planets and where they were and where they're going to be continuing to be in 2022. Pluto starts in Capricorn and ends in Capricorn. It moves forward a little bit and moves back. It's only going to be shifting a couple of degrees this year, and it's staying in Capricorn. So the process of clearing out old value systems or old ways of using our resources to build things in the world, that's still in a process of resolve. And what we're doing with that Capricorn energy in our personal lives is absolutely changing the outer structures, the bigger structures. For instance, if you're using your money to purchase things in your life because that's totally differently now because your values have shifted, that is changing the types of products that are being created in the marketplace. That's changing the way that your money is moving and what your money is rewarding out in the economy. So that is happening, and we will only see the bigger repercussions of that as more and more people make those individual choices. And that's continuing. That is a process that started in 2008 and will continue through to the middle of 2003 or so. We'll be talking about 2003 at the end of this video. So that is still in process, and the area of your life where you've got Capricorn, that is absolutely, you're not unfamiliar with this energy. You've been working on it for a while, so there won't be anything probably new. It's just more doubling down on what you're already doing. Neptune is going to move forward and back a little bit. It's only going to cover about a couple of degrees this year. So it will move further than where it is right now, further than it was last year, but it's still pretty much staying in this little range. With Neptune and Pisces, Neptune has been in Pisces since 2012, and it has bringing us, basically the way I've experienced Neptune is it's completely opened the time-space continuum, like memories, physical sensations of memories, whether they are past lives, whether they're multidimensional experiences, whether they are related to beyond this 3D experience, those have been opening up and expanding you since 2012. And you, with Jupiter now in Pisces, it's going to be this super big amplification of Piscean, Neptunian type concepts. So a lot of my clients, I've instructed that it might be wise to create some spiritual hygiene. So spiritual hygiene would be paying attention to your internal dialogue, paying attention to creating space for yourself to receive downloads and channeling, really paying attention to your intuition, allowing yourself to feel the congruence of the stillness that allows you to tap into different fields of consciousness. All of this has been on the table for a while, but it will be amplified this year. And Neptune is going to be a big part of that. Neptune's here. Sorry, I was pointing at Pluto, but here's Neptune. Uranus has been moving through Taurus for a couple of years already. Uranus has been kind of like amplifying the mid degrees of Taurus, and that trend will continue this year. It'll move a little further this year than it did last year. Something important, if you were born, if you're about 42 right now, if you're 41, 42, 43, probably more, if you're 43, it's probably already happened. But if you're 40, 41, 42, you will be having something called your Uranus opposition during this time. When you were born, Uranus was in Scorpio. And while Uranus is moving through Taurus, you're having a once in a lifetime opportunity to completely embody the archetype of Prometheus. If you don't know a lot about Prometheus, Prometheus was a god in ancient mythology that loved the humans so greatly that he stole fire from the gods and gave it to man, and he was punished greatly. But there's a part of all of us that embody that archetype. And a lot of times when people have their Uranus oppositions, they step into a moment where they bring their life's greatest work to the table, where they revolutionize some way that humans are able to live, even if that's on a personal level, even if that's for yourself, even if that's for your family. So be aware if you're in that age range. I am. For instance, I'm having my Uranus opposition at 18 degrees. So if you know an astrologer or you know your natal chart, look at where you have Uranus in Scorpio and see how that relates to where Uranus will be transiting this year. So Uranus will move all the way up to 18, then retrograde. So it's still in those mid degrees. It's asking us this year and in the years previous to revolutionize the way we feel secure and sustainable when it comes to our body, health, and resources. This is not a surprise. With all of the pandemic and restrictions and all the things we've been questioning, what do I actually need? What's on the base level, what do I really need in order to feel like I'm thriving? This has been a question that we have been asking for a couple of years now. And the question now is going to be more like, what do I need when it comes to my availability to relate to other people? So just be aware that is continuing this year, and it's seeking revolutionary shifts in your life. It's seeking change. It's seeking it wants us to get really aligned and congruent, really efficient, really stable in our lives. So don't resist any of that. Don't check out, don't cope it away. Get really real about what you need to feel really sustainable and feel really supported and secure in your body, in your health, and in your life. Saturn has been in Aquarius for the entire 2021 and will continue in Aquarius in this year. So the energy won't shift much in what Saturn is asking us to do. Saturn in Aquarius is creating constriction so that we can take a look at what we want to build for the future that will be sustainable for not just our lives, but for the people that we're woven together with. So it's very much interconnection force. It wants you to know that you're in it with all of us, that we're not islands, that even though we can, to a certain degree, behave like an island, that we're actually very interconnected and interwoven with the other people in our lives. Now, depending on where you have Aquarius in your chart, this could feel like this is how I'm interwoven with my family. This is how I'm interwoven with my close work associates or my love relationships, my intimacy, or it could be literally like how you're interwoven with the broader tapestry of the human consciousness. It's all the same. It's just a matter of which scale you perceive this on. As the year opens, we're being called into our greatest integrity for recognizing our role in that interconnected web. And it'll end the year at 22 degrees, which is the degree of this energy of the master builder. It's kind of cool that it ends at 22 degrees because it is 2022, and I don't know, I just think it's kind of cool. But basically 22 is like it's like a table, right? Like you're creating the foundation of a table that you're going to be, or a frame of a house, right? If you even think of like the basic structure of a house, there's 4 strong pillars that hold everything together. And that is what this year is about. It's building those pillars in our lives. So if you were going to be building those pillars of your life, how is your life going to be creating shelter and a home for all those that you share your life with? So Saturn's drawing our attention to that and constricting us and making us feel very uncomfortable if we're not considering that bigger picture. Chiron is the space where the collective is feeling wounded and healing. So it has been moving through Aries and will continue to move through Aries. It won't be making a lot of progress, but it will definitely be felt in a big way. The collective wounds that are being addressed are the wounds around leading yourself, making decisions and leading yourself, being an independent thought leader of yourself, being an independent behavioral leader of your life. So I think you can imagine how that's shown up in the collective, and you've probably become aware of any wounding you feel around following your own leadership or following your own guidance or trusting your own story or trusting your own ability to be different than other people or share things that are different from other people. So that is continuing this year, and it will be amplified several times. But my my kind of like hot tip on anything that feels like, if you ever have this idea in your head of like, I wonder if something's wrong with me, that's a pretty good indication that you're having some sort of Chiron experience. Like, I just think there's something inherently wrong with me. Whenever you feel that, it's just an awesome opportunity for you to not skirt away from that feeling, but to actually open it up and feel into it and investigate it to see if it's actually really true or what you're actually, worried about. So that will be happening also. And yay, we get to continue that process for a while, actually. And then the thing that will be changing, that will feel dramatically different, is that the nodes of the moon are going to be changing. They are already in that process. You could already be feeling it, but basically for the last 18 months, because the nodes are within a certain range and they're in a certain axis point for 18 months. And they revisit that axis point about every 18 years, which is wonderfully interesting, right? So the where these nodes have been and what they've been doing for us over the last 18 months is they've been completely deconstructing and tearing apart old concepts and universal truths that you've given your authority to, or that you've held as like a guiding principle for your life that maybe you never investigated properly. You adopted it from your society, you adopted it from your family, you adopted it from, I don't know, because you just thought it was the right thing to do, or you just didn't ever investigate it for yourself to see if it was true. So those truths fell apart over the last 18 months because they got tested. And we all felt very uncomfortable if we continued following a truth that we just didn't actually have an actual tangible experience with to prove was true. So what increased was people acknowledging their own stories, people acknowledging their own opinions based on their real lived experiences. People sharing like, yeah, that should work, but guess what? When I operated that way, I didn't get my needs met and I felt very vulnerable and exposed. So I need to recognize that, and I need to come up with a new story, and I need to be sharing this story with others, because the old way that I used to like follow, that's not working for me anymore. And I don't think that other people should follow things that aren't working anymore, right? Like that's the kind of awareness that arose. So we had a lot of people sharing their opinions over the last 18 months. And that's the thing about Gemini energy. It's individual opinion, and it's based on newly emerging information. So our opinions about what we believe changed dramatically and got stronger over the course of the last 18 months because we received new information along the way. Gemini has this Gemini energy. When we evolve through that lens, there's two things that exist at once. There's this feeling that we're right, and then a new emerging truth and the realization that we are a little more right now and a little less right then. So there's like always this polarity of like, well, I guess I was not right about that, or I guess I'm educating myself. I'm learning a lot about this, and now I'm changing my opinion of what I'm going to be doing. So that changed, and it was a little disorienting for everyone, but we're supposed to be disoriented during Gemini stuff. Like that's the way we grow. If we held really strongly to fix things without investigating them or without increasing our education, nothing would ever change in our lives, and we would eventually like numb out to the entire experience of being present. So yeah, so congratulations for all of us for getting through that. Now we're stepping into an increase in all things Taurus and a decrease in things that are scorpionic. So what would that look like? What that looks like is essentially Taurus wants us to feel like we are getting our needs met, our physical needs, our spiritual needs, our emotional needs. This is like making sure that our environment is absolutely adequate for feeling like we're resourced, for feeling like basically Taurus energy would be the energy of like it occurs very early in childhood development, the part of us that develops our relationship with this energy of resourcefulness. Essentially, this would be the energy of realizing that when you cry, you're being fed. When you need to be warmed, someone's there to warm you. It's all of the sensation of knowing that you're secure in the world. And not all of us had the experience of feeling very secure in the world at a very early age for a lot of different reasons. And some of us did. Some of us have a really good relationship with the tangible world, making sure we're feeding ourselves properly, we're getting good nutrition, we're getting plenty of sleep, we're enjoying like the sunlight, we're smelling flowers, we're receiving beauty, we're feeling like there's always a warm place to land, that we're safe. That is the energy of Taurus. So if you don't feel that way in your life, there will be lots of opportunities this year for you to create more of that for yourself. And if you want to think about a time in your life where this was a similar energy was at play, you can think about the years of 2003, 2004. There would have been an increase in those types of things during that time. And a decrease in some other things. So let's talk about Scorpio energy. Scorpio energy is the energy of allowing yourself to fully, completely dissolve the needs of self to take into account the needs of the other. So this is not always executed in the grandest, most efficient way. I feel like I should probably create an entire new video about Scorpio, because it's a very complex energy and I think it's very misunderstood. But essentially, some things that you can imagine will be decreasing in your life are codependency, dependency on people who have power over you, power struggles in general, because the higher level of personal security means that we're able to make better choices or more resource choices in the world at large. And we're like, oh, I just don't need to depend on that anymore. Oh, like, no, I got this. I feel secure in the present moment. I actually don't need to find my security from something out there. So that will be decreasing, which I think is a great thing. And it will be creating new, more solid boundaries for ourselves that are not slippery and not like, like that really uncomfortable feeling when you get that weird feeling in your stomach because you're like, your power is drained out because of a certain thing. Those things are all ending. So you might experience several of them on your path to ending them, but that's the good thing about life. It's going to present all the situations and circumstances that we all need to become aware of those things. So that is the sustained energies of the year. Now I'm going to go month by month through the months. And I'm going to, at the end of this, I'm going to end up timestamping all of this, but we're all here together as it premieres. So we're just going to go through it month by month, and I'm excited to share this kind of breakdown with you. If you would like to get a breakdown that's even more specific, even more like quantifiable, or even more like where you print something out and have it on your desk and like look at it and put it in your calendar, I just want to let you know that I have this PDF available on my website. This is a PDF I create these each year. They have all of the major transits, not every transit, but most of them. Then I have channel guidance for each of these transits and a question. So you can put yourself into a certain state with Jupiter in Pisces, with Neptune in Pisces. You can put yourself in a certain state and you can channel this wisdom for yourself, your higher self, your soul, your beautiful intelligence knows everything you need to know. And when you give yourself the space and ask yourself these questions, you're going to be receiving everything that you need to know about being present with your life. Really, like that's the whole game. That's my game. Like, how can I be even more present and congruent with myself and my life? So these questions are geared to orient you to that field of consciousness for yourself. So I'll drop a link and you're welcome to go to my website to download that. I'm just also going to, at this time, just take a moment before I go into the year ahead to let you know my website is lunation.live. There it is, lunation.live. When you get to the website, you will see a number of different things. Here's the place where you could go ahead and purchase that PDF, but I wanted to share with you that I'm now offering an astrology membership where I write every single day. I give journaling prompts. I also offer live workshops that go into very specific topics that are very interactive for the membership. So you can click on the membership and join my membership. It's $30 a month. You'll get the PDF for free for the first. So pretty much if you order the PDF, you can actually just get the membership, try it for a month and see how you feel. It's the same price as the PDF. So basically you'll get into the membership. You'll see the writing for each day. You'll see any of my most current videos. And then there's a calendar where you can click on the days and get guidance. There's also discounts on my courses and products. And then I'll be hosting, this is also where I host all my class content. So yeah. All right, that's my little sacred advertisement for now. Now we can actually go into the month. So as January opens, I'm not going to go into detail about where things are because I actually already just went over that. But in January, we're absolutely facing sobering changes and integrating them. As the year opened, that's exactly where the energy was. And you'll need to look at where Capricorn is in your chart to discover the specific area of your life where those sobering changes are taking place. But you don't need to. You can actually just reflect on how you felt. So around Sunday, January 2nd, there was a new moon, and whatever was on your mind on the 2nd, just know that planted a seed for your year, and whatever you were intending, whatever you're envisioning, it was sort of a bigger picture seed that you were planting for your life. And that would have catalyzed a certain energetic movement, that there's things that happen behind the scenes that actually help to bring you into alignment with what you're creating. And so one of the interesting things about that is that the sun was at 11 degrees at that time. So was Saturn. Saturn was at 11 degrees. These are manifesting degrees, and Venus will move back to that exact same degree by the time she turns retrograde. She'll be there in like the 20s of the month, and she'll station there and then move forward by the 29th, but she'll come back to that same place, which is opening you up to see and feel and receive even more of whatever that seed intention was. Along our path, however, we're going to run into a few kind of bumps in the road that will jar us into our integrity around that. And the first big bump I'm seeing is around the 9th. The 9th, I'm going to go into I actually went into detail on this in my January month ahead video. So I'm going to give more of an overview for January because I already kind of covered this, but essentially on the 9th, we've got to bring our behavior into integrity. We're going to be aware of whenever we've acted because we've been afraid or ashamed. So that is because Mars will be opposite Lilith, and Lilith is making you wonder, like, oh no, should I be ashamed of how people will think of my opinion? Should I be ashamed, or I'm afraid of what people will think about me. I'm afraid of what people will say about I'm afraid people will tell me I'm wrong. I'm afraid people will just, speak over my life in a certain way. And I think that's being completely demolished through this process that we're in January. We are going to notice that that's a false program that we've been running, and we're not going to behave from fear or shame anymore. We're going to own our truth because we've reoriented ourselves to a new truth over the last 18 months. And I feel that that's the first big step of confidence that we're going to be able to show. In addition, there will be opportunities to align that confidence with a bigger spiritual connection. I think we'll get lots of rewards every time we push into discomfort and we actually show up congruently. We'll be rewarded through these like really amazing sensations of gratitude and connection and fulfillment. So be aware that there's like this kind of pressure, confidence or courage, and then like spiritual energetic reward that's coming through the process of January. And the another big thing I want to talk about, in case you don't watch that January video, which I highly recommend you do, the sun will conjunct Pluto on the 17th, and we'll have a full moon in Cancer. That full moon is going to feel pretty potent. Whatever changes you're making in your external world, you're going to see an emotional and sensational and somatic vulnerable experience of connectivity. Like I feel that whatever work we do leading up to this full moon, it'll open us to greater connection with those that we truly, truly, truly want to have close to our hearts. So it'll feel vulnerable though. And the path to this full moon will be vulnerable. So don't shy away from it. Have those conversations, open your heart, be real, and know that you'll be rewarded every time you do it. Rewarded with truth, rewarded with connection. So then, as soon as that happens, right after that full moon, there'll be this huge energetic shift. The nodes will shift, Uranus will move direct. It'll feel like, whoa, the landscape of my reality just shifted so dramatically. Like I feel so much more resource. I'm feeling the repercussions of my ability as a creator. I'm feeling it in real time. So that's what I feel will be happening around the 18th, and then moving forward through the end of January, there'll be a big highlight to that like living fabric that we're a part of. I think that we'll be rewarded with the sensation of understanding that everything that we choose for ourselves has a direct relationship and a direct effect on those that we're in this fabric with, and that our truth is a direct catalyst to other people's lives, and other people's truths are a direct catalyst to our own. So that's the way I feel the month will end. And for greater detail on that, just watch my January video. As we step into February, we're finally feeling congruence and seeing the tangible evidence. So I'm going to actually bring the chart to February, January, February. Actually, it's probably easier if I just put 2022 in the space. I have to keep changing that. There we go. Okay. I have the chart here, but it's just helpful for me to look at it because it's like a portal. So we're finally feeling congruence and we're seeing the tangible evidence. This is what I was talking about. Like we created that congruence with ourselves, and we're actually taking steps from that congruence. We're not feeling afraid. We're showing up. We're having those conversations. And I think we're going to see literal results, tangible results, felt results. So we'll open this month with like, whoa, this awareness of like, I am far more powerful than I thought I was. This is incredible. So the new moon in Aquarius will be that moment where it's like, I am planting a seed for even more awareness and responsibility for what I'm creating in my life, because I understand how it's interwoven with everyone else and everything else. And I'm here for this, right? Mercury will move forward in Capricorn by the 3rd. The sun will conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. So this period of time, we're going to be experiencing a lot of energy when it comes to seeing the bigger picture, seeing the future vision. What I imagine is like, imagine that you got in a helicopter and you kind of were able to go way, way up high and kind of look at past, present, and future all at once to see where you are in that cycle and the trajectory that you're on. So this is like a perspective moment. And so we're going to have the ability to communicate in a really tangible way. Like, listen, this is what I'm building in my life. I'm building it because of this. This is what I value. And I am doing this because I understand it will impact my life in the long run. And it's going to leave a legacy on this planet that I'm going to feel really fulfilled by and will impact a lot of people. So that is the type of awareness that we start the month with. When Mercury crosses Pluto on the 11th, we are realizing that our alignment to a certain structure of our life is going to require that we let go of some more mental programs, like maybe even literally opinions that we have about the world at large. We're going to have an emptying of that programming around the 11th. And then immediately after, Mars and Venus will come into conjunction, and our behaviors and our heart, our ability to receive information and behave from our wisdom will be in a congruent space for a whole month, really. Like, it's a pretty epic moment, and we will all be feeling it. So they'll be together in Capricorn, which is like, your behaviors are congruent with your ideas, your values. Like, I just feel it's going to like click in, and everyone's going to feel like, oh, and I know why, because of that big picture perspective that I've been having. I think that perspective is actually going to bring us into that congruence. Actually, like, it's almost, the thing I want to note here is that these transits are happening regardless of our participation in them, regardless of our awareness of them either. It's just how much layer of meaning, how much fulfillment of meaning do you want to add to the circumstances of your life? Because I know a lot of people in my life that don't follow astrology, and their lives are so dramatically shifting, so beautifully coming into congruence, and they're not conscious and active participants in it. They, of course, have been confused at certain times. They've walked very like blindly through everything. And that's a totally valid way of doing it. It kind of like increases the uncertainty and excitement and novelty of life, right? But for those of us that actually follow astrology, there's a part of us that actually gets off on feeling the synchronicities and feeling the layers of meaning and dipping into the mythology and the way that we're a part of all of this grandness. We just get off on that. So we like to know, we like to feel it, we like to anticipate it, we like to be a part of it consciously. And so that's why I believe we're all here. There could be other reasons. Maybe we're coping with uncertainty, but even that, I think, is going to shift, and our reasons for tuning into astrology are going to shift, because it won't be so much about a fear or a dependency, but more about adding layers of magic and meaning to something that's happening and occurring naturally. It's kind of like learning physics or something, right? Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. It's so magical, and it's science, but well, I'm not going to go down that path. But anyway, back to this. So Mercury and Aquarius, lots of that like helicopter view. Full moon in Leo is going to be this like emergence of, oh my gosh, I'm a unique character, unique player, a special person in this entire tapestry and play of life. So I think we're all going to just really embrace the specialness of who we are with that full moon in Leo, and understand that we're here playing this divine play with other people, and our role and our character actually has a very important part in other people's storylines. So that will happen with the full moon. When the sun moves into Pisces, the sensation of awe and reverence and open connection to the whole will begin to emerge. And I feel some of the I don't know, we're being prepared so perfectly for this, right? Like, I think this year more than ever, we are going to definitely be opening up to like, wow, we are a living community. We are a living tapestry. We are all functioning. I mean, I keep saying it, but like, this is absolutely the energy. And then when Moon and Mars and Venus are all together, it's just going to be like, everything is congruent. Your emotions, your heart, your receptivity, your behavior is just like boom. So when we open to March, good thing we got that congruence, because March is going to, life draws a line and we commit to stepping fully over the line. So the line that's being drawn, there's a couple of different places where these lines are going to show up. One of the major lines, one of the biggest lines is this Pluto, this like sentinel that has been like, I feel in many ways deconstructing all of the ways that we've labeled ourselves to prove our worthiness or to prove our value in the world. So I feel that this will be a stepping beyond the labels, stepping beyond the limitations, because even though we use those labels for a time to help us feel like we knew what we were doing or to help us identify ourselves in certain ways, we are stepping way beyond the need for those labels and finding that those labels are in fact limiting our ability to experience relationships and life and our legacy and our impact and the experience of being a soul. So that's one of the biggest lines, and we're committing to congruently showing up as ourselves past that line. Mercury will come together with Saturn and Aquarius. I think we're going to have this really strong discipline of the way that we share our messages in the world. I think that there'll be a push for people to step into the role of channel, leader, medium, thought leaders. Just step into your responsibility as a person who either blesses or curses your reality. Every perspective that you have on a person, on anything, like every perspective you have either diminishes the energy that you're giving to that thing or increases the energy you're giving to that thing with a specific vibration. And this is what we're going to become aware of come March, and we're going to come into congruence with that role, the role of someone who is literally capable of blessing and bringing more energy to a situation or less energy to a situation. So this is that divine line that we're going to cross over, is this huge privilege, this huge opportunity and responsibility as a creator of reality. So a co-creator of reality, let's say. So then Venus and Mars Pluto conjunction, boom, we're over the line. Let's also say in this moment, if you look at people in your world and you really, really strongly define them in a certain role, those people are going to have a really hard time continuing to show up in relationship with the role that you've very acutely defined for them. Like if you think, oh, well, my mom is always blah, 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 or my dad is just like blah, 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 or yeah, my boyfriend is always blah, blah, blah. Like, this is just how he is. If you ever think things like that, this is just how he is. And you're just like, or the label you have, like, lets you not see the actual person because you've got this like label that you've slapped over the top of them and you only see the label, you don't see them, or you only can see the parts of them that match the label. That is going to give you, you're going to have to cross over a line. That means you're also doing that for yourself and you're limiting your own expression. So this is what's on the line in March, and we're all going to be feeling it. And there's things we're not even conscious that we're still labeling and we're not really seeing the whole thing. But all of those things that we've labeled and we've like tried to like only see through that label, they're stepping over the line too. And they're not going to resonate with your label anymore. So there will be like massive breakups, massive endings, like people, and it's not like a bad thing at all. Like, we just won't agree to someone's restriction of how they see us anymore. We just won't agree to it anymore. We simply will be like, I'm not operating within the bandwidth that you allow me to operate in your field. I'm not showing up as that anymore because I'm congruent with who I am, and I'm so much more than whatever label you just put on me. So that is like going to create some change, like upheaval and change in the world. And it's because everyone's valuing themselves beyond the label, much more than the label. And so be prepared, have openness, have compassion. Like, we have a lot of beautiful Piscean energy to help facilitate the movement of this. once we expand to see the whole person, or at least as much of the person as we possibly can, to see people as souls, not roles, like as my mentor Donnie Epstein would say, we are going to move into a time where we actually are able to really feel connected to people for real, like even people that we don't know very well that we've labeled, right? So that's that month. This is, I'll be going way more into depth in each one of these months as the months unfold, but so subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed, so you can catch all of these. But essentially, I see this being a big turning point for all of human consciousness, because it just won't work anymore to have to limit our expression on this planet based on other people's opinions or our opinions of ourselves, of like a role that we're supposed to play. So that huge expansion, we won't be able to help it. There will be things that will just like blow us beyond the role. Like I feel it'll be a sensation. I feel it'll be intuitive. No one has to do anything. It'll just be this like awareness that we'll experience by the 4th. And then when Venus and Mars enter Aquarius together, they're literally going to like walk over this line, boop, into Aquarius. And that's going to be the awareness of the congruence of each individual special person showing up in the living fabric. It will be tangible. It'll be witnessable. It'll be incredible and beautiful. And I can't wait. And I'm very, I don't know, super excited about it. Mercury and Pisces, the communication will almost be telepathic. We'll be feeling each other because we're not disconnecting ourselves from our connection to other people because of all these layers of roles that would stand between our ability to feel and connect. I think we might all become very empathic during this time. Sensing the energy in the field, right? The full moon in Virgo will be this awareness of how incredibly important it is for us to all operate as autonomous and independent people, for us all to have our independence and our sovereignty to stand on our own 2 feet and to like own the completeness of each vessel. So once we understand that these roles are no longer needed, that we can connect and relate to everyone, there will be such a huge reverence for the soul experience. And there'll be such a huge reverence for the human experience, being able to interact with separate parts of soul, right? So the autonomy that we will embody with this full moon will allow us to be aligned synchronistically by the weaver of reality, by the living tapestry weaver that is life. And we'll have like the synchronicities, the magic, the like right time at right place, the like intuitive hits to like do this or go there. And then the connection that's made, all of that we're going to need a lot of autonomy to be able to flow that way. So then as if, it's like, right after we have this experience of this understanding of why autonomy is so important, we get the sun in Aries and Mercury in Aries by the end of the month. Aries energy is very much a like claiming, like showing up, claiming, like birthing ourselves on this planet, owning our identity, fully being willing to be this independent, individuated identity on the planet. So I just see this like fiery emergence coming by the end of March. So now as we enter April, we're freshly emerging as new versions of ourselves, but we're still forming. So have a little patience with yourself, even though it sounds really powerful to step into Aries energy. If you think about a fresh little baby, fresh little babies are born, they're loud, they're there, everyone's eyes are on that fresh baby, but that baby is like nearly absolutely helpless. So even though we are all emerging as these fresh new individuals, we understand our experience as a living tapestry, we're connected, we're vulnerable, we're feeling all the feelings, we're dissolving the roles, and we're claiming this new way of being on the planet. We're going to be really kind of new, like kind of soft and fresh. So just be compassionate with yourself and know how to nourish yourself in that freshness. I use this picture because as I was like thinking of the energies, I was like, oh man, it's kind of like the whole of us is kind of still in Pisces, right? Like our body, everything that we know about our wholeness, it's still under the water, and it's a part of the entire body of water still, because it's like floating there in the water, in the soup of all that is. And we still have a lot of Pisces stuff. We've got Venus in Pisces, Mars in Pisces. It's still very like I am, and there's parts of us that are just kind of pushing through the membrane or pushing through the threshold of that water into the light, into the air, and feeling the warmth of this new emergence. So this is definitely how I experience April will feel, and it will feel kind of wet and tender. So be patient with yourself. So that new moon Aries conjunct Chiron is going to feel like a vulnerable, like we're going to be like, that's that moment where, okay, I'm here. Oh my gosh, it's super vulnerable to be so here, to feel everything, to be so sensitive, to like really get it, to understand what I'm doing here and how I am here with others. So I feel the Chiron energy might be strong on that new moon, and it's supposed to be because we're birthing a whole new experience of life. I think this will be the beginning of building the framework of the rest of our lives. We're like, oh, I'm gonna call this something. I'm gonna claim this, and I'm gonna call it something. And I'm a little nervous to do that because who am I to like claim something for my life, right? So that you will be facing that in a way that we've never faced it before. And we'll be feeling it sensitively. Our body with Mercury and Taurus, a lot of our messages will come through our body. So this could be a time where aches and pains show up, things around our digestion, a need for more rest, a need for downtime, a need for massages and delicious food. I mean, it could also be like really beautifully sensuous. So we could just be like receiving, being held a lot. And, it could be we could nourish our bodies very well. If we're not taking good care of our bodies, we could experience pain, headaches, like all kinds of information from the body. The body will tell you. So be aware, your body will be talking to you. And with Saturn square the North Node, this is like one of the first big checkpoints. Saturn is saying, hey, have you fully become aware of what a powerful creator you are? Have you fully become aware of the fact that everything that you're laying down right now is going to be built upon and creating a structure for the rest of your life? So I think that we'll be acutely aware of that as Saturn squares the North Node, and just bring us back. And like, if we've lost track of that, it could feel very, very supportive. We could actually receive a lot of support from our network, could be to grow more of what we're building for ourselves, for our security. So it might not be a bad thing. There could be, we do the work and we get like a big chunk of change at this moment. Or we realize like, oh, I need a big chunk of change. I better step up because I'm building the rest of my life right now. And I don't want to dwell in this worry that perhaps I can't claim this being that I am or whatever, right? So I think we'll be called to show up. And then when this Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces conjunction happens, it's going to just be like, I think this is the event. This is the spiritual event of the year. I think we will feel the pressure of that Saturn square North Node, and the pressure will cause us to like really lean in even more. And then there'll be this huge reward, this huge spiritual expansion. It could be very disorienting. It could be like, wow, I've never felt so much energy before. A lot of astrologers are going to be talking about it because it's like the event of the year for Jupiter. Jupiter has not been able to conjunct Pisces in Neptune in Pisces, even when it was in Pisces before because Neptune wasn't there. So blah, 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 blah. It was, Jupiter went through in 2010. I'm kind of sidetracking, but if you think about what was going on in your life in 2010, there's going to be an energy that's similar to that, but not exactly the same, because it wasn't together with Neptune. Neptune will create an environment for even more multidimensional and spiritual fulfillment, connection with the ripple effect of your life. So maybe you had a certain experience in 2010 with Jupiter moving through Pisces, but this time it's going to be amplified. And this will be a moment where the amplification will be very tangibly felt. Mars is moving through Pisces. We're definitely making space for that spiritual hygiene that I talked about in the beginning. Libra is going to be bringing that awareness to how we impact our relationships now as a new sovereign being. Sun in Taurus is going to bring our attention back to the theme of the year, which is building and constructing a sustainable foundation for ourselves. Then Pluto retrograde, the pressure of Pluto will release at this time. And we had a Pluto retrograde in the middle of 2021 as well. It doesn't mean that we're not deconstructing things, but we're not moving through new territory. It almost feels like when Pluto's retrograde, we get to, the wrecking ball's done, and now we get to just mull through the rubble to see what things we're going to be like, what things are still salvageable, or what things, like, it's like, okay, all the deconstruction's been done. Now let's just clear that out. In fact, it could be that you're like, you know how you pour concrete and you got all the stakes, and then before you start framing, you have to pull all of that stuff out and you pull the plastic off. I kind of feel like it'll be sort of like that, if you can relate that metaphor to your life. Mercury will be in Gemini, lots of, like, I feel like there'll be a lot of sharing of new opinions and life experiences through that process of Mercury and Gemini. And then we'll have the solar eclipse in Taurus and a new moon. We've been sort of waiting for this all year. This is a new seed moon for, it's a personal seed moon. It's a private seed moon. It's like, if we had the new moon that we had at the first was like, okay, I'm going to birth myself. And the seed moon eclipse in Taurus is going to be, okay, this new character that I am and how I'm interacting with the world. This is what I really need. This is the simplicity of what I really require in order to thrive. And so in May, we are fully ready to show up and claim the new character, because we've done that work of bringing ourselves to the surface and planting a seed for feeling resourced as this new character. So we're getting ready to, like, okay, this is who I am now. So May opens up, hold on, just edit chart data. 5. Okay. And Black Moon Lilith actually is something I didn't mention last. Black Moon Lilith moves into Gemini in April, moves out of Gemini and into Cancer, excuse me. So I don't know why I didn't have that on my list, but May, we're in May. Yeah, May 1st. Okay. When that happens, the shift will be, we won't be facing fears around what other people will think anymore. We'll be facing fears around, well, now, like, I'm so sensitive. Like, we're facing fears around our sensitivity. We're facing fears around our vulnerability. We're facing fears around, like, the sensation that we feel when we have to communicate about our needs, or when our needs are not met. We're this new expression of ourselves now, and we don't necessarily want to use all the old coping mechanisms that we used to use, where we would, like, people please, or we would, numb ourselves, or we would avoid situations that felt uncomfortable because we didn't want to have to say what we really felt. All of that's going to be gone. And I think all the reasons we used to do that, those are going to come to the surface, and we're going to have to face those. We'll face them with ourselves first, and then it'll progress into more interpersonal stuff. But what we know about fear now is that fear is a gate. And once we walk through that gate of fear and resistance and repression, there's so much energy available to us. So that's something we've definitely learned about fear up to this point. And I feel most of us will be taking this type of posture in the month of May. Venus and it will be in Aries, and the month starts out with our ability to receive ourselves into our lives will be conjunct Jupiter, because Jupiter will also move into Aries at the same time. Jupiter is going to go, hi, I'm in Aries. I'm totally like ready to totally show up as who I am. Like, wow, here I am, super expanded. I'm super like, blah. So we're going to have like a really beautiful sort of emergence around the beginning of May. Jupiter will not stay in Aries. It'll come back to Pisces by the end of the year and then back into Aries. But basically, whatever you're aware of, whatever you're showing up as during this time, just know that you're going to be doing that even more in 2023. So you'll see this, like, it'll be this coming out, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, let me make sure I've kept all my spiritual practices, or kept my connections, or kept my my internal peace. And so just know that's sort of the flow, right? Mercury retrograde in Gemini, because we've sort of emerged, there's going to be a new way of communicating back and forth with other people and sharing our philosophies. And I think that a lot of statements will start with like, well, I'm not really sure how it feels for you, but I've learned from my own experiences that this, and this works for me. I think that's like a really, really beautiful way to phrase a lot of things that we're going to be talking about in May. Yeah, Jupiter will be in Aries, so there will be that expanded energy. The full moon solar eclipse in Scorpio is going to be, wow, there's no space left for these outer control mechanisms or these outer dependencies to have any part of my life. So I think that eclipse in Scorpio, it's going to be like going into the back caverns of our consciousness, going into like the mucky like underbelly, like there'll be this last, if you're framing a house, there'll be this like last moment where you're checking all the plumbing and making sure that, before you put the floor down, that all the plumbing under the house is super sound, and you're sort of like building a crawl space to get under the house to make sure that if anything ever does go wrong with the plumbing, that you can get under there and you can make sure everything emotionally is flowing well, all your waste is being removed, all, so however that metaphor relates to your personal life, take that into account with the full moon in Scorpio. Check your contracts, check your agreements, and your commitments. Because, okay. Mars conjunct Neptune and Pisces. This will be a huge expansion. This will align our behaviors to our intuition, I believe. So get ready for that alignment of our behavior with our intuition. We've already been doing it, but I think we'll have an expansion of that, an expansion of why that's so important, actually, is what I think. And then our awareness will definitely be on sharing our stories. That statement I made about how to phrase our experiences when talking to others, I think there'll be a emphasis on educating yourself and learning through interacting with other people's stories, with the sun in Gemini. And then Mars in Aries will be like big announcements of who, in fact, how you're behaving. So I imagine there'll be a lot of people like announcing new behaviors or announcing big shifts or announcing who they are. Like, so you already knew who you were, but this would be the moment where you like launch, I guess. And Venus will ensure that we're receiving everything we need in that process. That I think Venus will help us feel really resourced and safe and secure in our new emergence. And then we'll just plant a new moon. We'll plant a new moon seed for even greater interaction with others through story. In June, we evaluate our new needs and for who we are now. So in June, the energy will shift from Gemini to Cancer. There will be clear, basically Saturn's going to move retrograde and Neptune will move retrograde in this month, and we'll have a new moon in Cancer by the end of the month. So what I'm seeing for June is that we're going to have this moment to really pay attention to how, like, okay, we've grown ourselves to this point, we've emerged, we're showing up, we're sharing our stories. I feel like it'll just be this, like, where we watch it grow and we attend to whatever needs to be attended to as we go along. We've got clarity on how we're leading our life with the full moon in Sagittarius. We've got clarity on the fact that sometimes we used to act from our wounds, or we acted from a wounded space. And we used to also be ashamed of, like, talking about our vulnerability and our needs. And so we're just being the character and trying it out and having a real lived experience with it. And lived experience is not something you can, like, proactively create. It's really just an ability to be present with your life and respond moment to moment to how you feel and how the environment is shifting, and how to respond to the environment based on how you feel. So I see that the energy is definitely, it's not pushing us to continue building or growing. It's very much like, well, let's just get up the frame, and then let's walk through it and just see how it feels now before we continue the building process. And so I feel that that is essentially what the month of June will be presenting for us. And then in July, we come into the full expression of who we are, and we see what the results are. So we've expressed ourselves in June, where, like I just said, it's like, let's just get the framework up and let's walk through and just see how it feels. That's the whole month of June. As we get into July, this is where we assess the results of that beingness, right? I'm kind of blowing through the months now, but I'll go into way more depth of each of these, like, as the month arrives, but this is like a kind of an overview. Okay, so once we get to July, all right, so this is a pattern that emerged in all of the readings I was doing. This posture, this is kind of a strange picture. Imagine that you've completely emerged. You're having a sensation of receiving and producing, or receiving and being. Like, you're coming into this homeostasis in your life where you're able to be present and responsive. You feel it sinking in, and you're able to, like, experience the wisdom of that emotional energy that you're experiencing. So imagine that you're nourishing your life with your expression, and your life is nourishing you with what you're able to receive from that expression. That is the energy that I'm feeling about July. And it's because Mars is in Taurus. Mars is very much like focusing on our behavior around our resources, how we use our resources, how we behave with our resources, how we put resources into the world, and how we build things that feel like they're going to be sustainable for our resources. Mercury and Cancer, our body and our emotions are definitely giving us the communication, very, very presenting, right? The full moon in Capricorn is going to be reflecting. We're going to be able to look at our life. We're going to reflect on everything that's emerged up to this point. Wow, let's take a look at everything that I've built so far. Let's see how everything has changed in alignment with the values that I put in place on January 2nd. Mercury and Venus in Cancer is that, like, that's that mothering sensation of, like, when I'm very resourced, I'm able to completely nourish my entire life, and my life is so nourishing me. I have all the resources within me to continue abundantly nourishing my life. That's what Venus in Cancer is going to be saying. Mercury will move very quickly into Leo, like from the 5th to the 19th. That's very quickly. So very much the Mercury is going to be saying, we need to make sure that we have a very unique presence here, and that our unique presence is felt in any room that we enter. And it's okay for us to be seen as a unique presence. And so then Chiron and retrograde, I feel that the sensation of like, that wound will be like relieved. Like we won't be feeling so much that it's like we're getting our stride when it comes to really being who we are. And that's perfect timing for the sun to move into Leo, where this is a time where we really shine as our individuated selves. We express ourselves, we dance, we play, we are present. Everyone talks about 5D, and I actually feel 5D is more of a microscopic experience where we're so congruent with our nervous system. We're so aligned with our body's sensation of time and space. We're so like able to listen without waiting to respond. So it's a receptive, present space where everything is more vibrant, everything is more beautiful, everything is like, wow, this is happening. Like even the uncomfortable things, even the sad things, we're like, wow, this emotion that I'm witnessing and experiencing is so beautiful because it's alive and it's human. And without these beautiful bodies, we wouldn't even have them. That is what I feel we get an opportunity to experience every Leo season. And so that new moon and the sun in Leo, those are absolutely bringing us to that experience. Then Jupiter will retrograde and Uranus will conjunct the North Node. I feel like this is like, okay, all of the big push of the year, whatever results, this is like the result of all of everything that we've become, we've pushed through, we've shown up as. This is the like, all right, you're like, you are the Prometheus, you are revolutionizing, you are here, you have been initiated completely into the fifth dimensional life experience of absolute presence, and it's an absolute gift. Congratulations and welcome. I think that's what the energy at the end of the 31st is about. I'm not saying, like, let me just be clear, I'm not saying that we're going to be experiencing a utopian society or anything like that. Everyone's going to come to this at different levels of engagement, of different levels of awareness. There's a whole bunch of people that never even stepped into their creatorship consciously. They're still sort of thinking that they're like completely at the effect of every single thing that's happening to them, and they have absolutely no personal power. That's a very real way of experiencing life. And I'm willing to bet that if you're watching this video, that's not the perspective that you have, but there will be a lot of people with that perspective, and they're going to be tuning into totally different versions of reality. I don't talk about the versions of reality that I'm not taking part in. That's just not my role. I know that a lot of astrologers are going to be like talking about doom and gloom. They're going to be talking about very huge changes. There could be natural disasters. There could be all kinds of crazy things that we can't even predict based on this energetic. And we have tons of fires. There could be, like, seriously, there could be some stuff going on. Here's the thing, none of those things that are going on, like this like experience of 5D or whatever you want to call it, this like ability to feel fully alive, does not negate the lived circumstances of reality. What it does is it changes your relationship to them and your perspective of them. There's no longer the sensation of moving away from pain and moving toward pleasure to the extent that you've ever experienced it before. It is a presence with what is and a witnessing of what is, because you're not afraid of being alive anymore, because you're not afraid of having an experience. You're not afraid. There, on my website, the very first quote I have on my website is a quote by Peter Bregman, and it says, "When you are willing to feel everything, when you are willing to feel anything, hold on. It's so important. I'm just going to quote it directly. Okay. When you are willing to feel everything, you can do anything. That sounds very dangerous, but do anything just means, it should say you can be anything. You can be fully present. You can be alive. When you're willing to feel everything, you can be alive. I get super like emotional about this because this has been my, this is like the why of every part of my work. This is why I'm an astrologer. This is why I show up on videos, because I'm willing to feel the experience of being alive to the greatest degree possible. I'm here to feel it. I'm here to be here. I'm not trying to get away from anything. I want to be here more and more and more and more, because this is an epic, epic gift. And I feel that by the 31st of July, we are going to have that opportunity to completely feel and witness everything. And everything could encompass all kinds of crazy things. And I'm not saying that this is going to save the world, because there's nothing to save. There's just experiences. That's it. So that's my why. This is everything. This is my guiding principle, is to be here for life. The purpose of my life is to be alive, to enjoy my body, and to connect with myself and others. That's it. And so however I choose to do those things, that is what I'm congruent and aligned with. And I believe that every single person is going to come into congruence with what that thing is this year, with what it is to be alive in whatever spectrum that means to you. So I just needed to say that, because I am not the kind of astrologer that talks about like, well, we'll see the political system fall apart and we're going to like, whoa, well, the lockdowns and the mandates, blah, blah, blah. Like there's a ton of people talking about that stuff. Great for them. Like everyone's interested in that shit. I probably would have a ton more readers if I did some clickbait on like what the pandemic's going to do. Like I'm not interested. I'm just not, though all of those circumstances are simply bringing each individual in alignment with their congruence of experiencing life. That's all. Every single circumstance that could possibly emerge in your life is bringing you into a lived experience of being alive in a body, in a relationship with these other souls that have volunteered to be next to you, like having whatever experiences they're having, catalyze emotions and like sensations. Like this is what I'm talking about. Our experience of allowing our life to sink in nourishes us. And in turn, our presence in other people's lives nourish them. There's a mixture of energies when we share space with another person, when we share ideas with other people, when we fully show up presently with another person. There's a cross-pollination, there's a blessing, there's a exponential opening of bandwidth that can be shared between people in that space. Like it is beautiful. And I am doing the best I can to show up in electronic spaces like this, to have more and more and more experiences like that with people across the entire world. So, wow, I don't even know. I promise to just show up and allow whatever needed to flow out of me to flow into this video and to reach you. So I'm here for that. And that's what this is about. So now we get to August. It's time to lift the curtain on our lives and see what can be cleared. The way that I sense this energy, let me show you this picture. It's super, super, I just love it so much. And I feel a lot of people will be doing this in different ways. Okay. See this character? Do you see how much joy and bliss is on this character's face? And she's got this person she trusts very much, sort of like lifting up the fabric of her body to show what's happening behind, like under the veil of her skin, right? Like under that protective layer. And it's if this was happening in real life, all of those things would just be like, blah, 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 like falling out. But so it's like an incredibly vulnerable thing to like really, really show what makes you up as a person and how you've become the person that you are. But look at how joyfully she's just like this is my unique recipe for who I am. And I am so confident and so beautifully aligned with myself that I'm going to, for the sake of all the people that I enjoy sharing my life with, I'm going to share with you, like, how did I get here? What makes me up? What's my special recipe? Because if I own all of that publicly and I share that process with you, it'll help you to understand that there is no blanket recipe for anyone. Everyone is very unique under here. Everyone's got their own. There are things we all have in common, and then there are things that are incredibly specialized and different for each person. And that's another thing that the energy of Leo brings to our attention. So it's that paradox of like, yeah, we all have these organs, right? But the way that I reveal my sameness and my uniqueness to you will actually allow us to connect with each other on such a more like alive and real level. So Mercury will be in Virgo. We'll be definitely like process oriented thinking, step-by-step thinking. It's a great time to be teaching and learning or sharing our experiences with others in a process way. Venus will be in Leo, very much like amplifying our ability to receive light for our unique character. The full moon in Aquarius will be revealing how that unique character is a part of the living tapestry even more. So we became aware of that in February, and now we see the result of it. Like, wow, my network has expanded so incredibly, and I'm so intertwined with all of these different tribes, and oh, beautiful. And then Mars will enter Gemini, and Mars will be there for the rest of the year. So Mars is going to retrograde this year. It's going to go through Gemini, and then around the 30th of October, it's going to start retrograding. If you remember back in 2020, we had a Mars retrograde through Aries. It was in Aries for a long time. And the whole fall of 2020, we had that Mars in retrograde. I don't know about you, but I had a really rough time. It was very physical. It was very much about my health. I had things with my health that I didn't enjoy. I felt like I couldn't I was definitely feeling not excited about how difficult it was for me to care for my body. And it built up all this momentum so that when Mars moved forward in Aries, I was like, yes. And I was so grateful to be able to take control of my health and to change my habits. And I got really, really, really did all these detoxes. It was amazing. So however you experienced Mars and Aries when it retrograded, retrogrades don't always feel pleasant when they're with Mars, but they definitely yield a huge reward. I think with Mars and Gemini retrograding this year, it's going to be a total investigation of the way we learn about ourselves and others, the way we had 18 months of reimagining what our story is in the world, but I think that we will be bringing that story in a more real way into the world. So we could be writing books, and we could be revisiting, revising books. So if you're an author and you're writing books this year, well, first of all, I know a really incredible writing container that I would like to share with you. If you're interested, please contact me, or I'll leave a link in the comments. But if you're a writer and you're thinking of writing a book, this is an incredible year to write a book, and know that you'll probably go through an editing process after October. So get as much of it written as possible, and know that get it on, this is true for any creator, right? Get it, build your frame, build your house. I think when Mars retrogrades in the context of building, it'll be like, well, before we put up all the paint, let's make sure that the entire building is sound. Let's make sure it's up to code. Let's just make sure everything is tip top. And then in 2023, let's decorate it. Let's get all the materials and finished products in there. So if you're an entrepreneur and you've got a website, you may be overhauling your website during this time after October. So just be prepared for that. So anyways, now back to August. I'm not always as structured as I would like to be, but there's little chunks of files that come in, and I'm like, oh, I'll share that now. So full moon in Aquarius, Mars in Gemini, Sun in Virgo, lots of consciousness on the harvest of our life up to this point. The Virgo is always a midpoint in the manifestation process. It's a time where we get to check to see what we've built so far. We check to see if it's sound, if it's going to hold, if it's in integrity, if it's yielding the appropriate results, if it's healthy. We use all of that discernment, because before we invest a whole bunch more and we invite other people into this project, we want to make sure that we check it and make sure and that it's in integrity, I guess. And it holds water, So that's what the Sun in Virgo will be doing for us. And then Uranus retrograde, it's going to retrograde at 18 degrees. So this is going to be, or maybe it goes beyond 18. Let me see. Oh no, I think it's kind of holding at 18, to be honest. So if you have anything around 18 degrees Taurus, just know this is going to be a massive moment for you. It's going to be lasting for a while. And so just step up, like get ready and be prepared, because you're going to be called to greatness this year. And it's your destiny, because this was set in motion the moment you were born. It was set in motion that this would be happening at this time. So be prepared. Mercury and Libra and new moon in Virgo. This is just like, okay, this is who I am. And I'm ready to interact as a whole being with a lot of sovereignty and autonomy in my relationships with other people. I'm showing the way that I live my life, because I'm being that leader for others. Our inventory reveals the results of how we've shown up so far. So the inventory that we have, the inventory that we've taken in Virgo is now going to be, we're going to look at it. We are going to take a good solid look at it, and we're going to decide, was this great or was it not? What worked and what didn't? What are we going to double down on? What are we going to invest more in? We're already thinking about 2023 at this point. And so we take this moment in September to just stop, look at everything that's emerged so far, and decide what's going to continue and what's going to end. What worked and what didn't. And we'll use that retrograde period to do that. This is like, let me make sure I'm fully sovereign. Let me make sure I'm really autonomous and independent here, because we're about to head into the interpersonal space. And I want to make sure that I've really come into my own, so that I can really show up and provide a lot of service and value for whoever I'm in relationship with, whether it's professionally or privately or whatever. So it's a reflection time. It gives us a chance to look at the bigger picture. And the Saturn Uranus will square. This is going to be a square between these two characters. Saturn's retrograde, so it's going to come back to 18 degrees, and it's going to square for some time, all the way into October. We had a square earlier in the year that brought us into our integrity. I think it was Uranus and North Node. No, it wasn't Uranus North Node. It was Saturn, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're prepared for this. We're gonna need to really work within a certain constraint, not lose faith, and to remember who we are, to remember our sovereignty, to remember there could be some force that's trying to restrain. It's not restraining and constraining maliciously. It's just if this is really sustainable, then you're going to be able to handle this level of traffic, this level of bandwidth, this level of production, this level of your resources are in a sustainable way. I think that we'll all be getting very responsible by the end of September, because we're realizing more than ever what our role is, what our new role is, what our new ability to be alive is. And so I think there'll be some sobering things, but all it's doing is building our foundation even stronger and testing it to see if there's anything out of alignment or that's not strong, let's break it now so that we can build it stronger. And we're planting a seed for even more co-creation with others, and Venus will be like sweetening the deal and attracting those people that we want to co-create with. Now we're ready to be authentic and raw with our next level of growth. So whenever we step into the interpersonal container, there's very much a moment where like have you ever heard that it's like a lot easier to think you're doing personal growth when you're single than when you're in a relationship? A lot of people even get out of relationships because they're like, I just can't grow next to you, or you're not growing fast enough, or like the way that you think about me is not letting me grow, or whatever. Like there's all kinds of things we think. So we get single and we get really healthy and we like got our routines and we're like, yeah, I accomplished all of these things. And then we find like these people don't have relationships that they have to balance, right? So it's never been tested by like, anyone because they've had total autonomy over all of their time, their resources, their space, their sleep, their morning, all of those things. So now in October, we kind of throw some co-creators into the mix, and we've got to be authentic and raw with that next level of growth that includes the other. This is a little bit like blah. It just tests everything. I think that Scorpio tests the gates and bonds. It tests whatever integrity we found ourselves to have in Virgo, whatever, like from that integrity, whatever relationships we attracted in Libra. We're still in Libra season in October, but Scorpio tests whether or not they're going to stick. And we will need to grow through that process. Maybe we grow our boundaries. Maybe we grow our communication skills. Maybe we grow like basically if you're framing a house, this is when you're like, look at this beautiful house I've built. I would love to share this house with you. And people walk through and they're like, oh, the closets aren't big enough. The bathroom needs to be completely we need 2 sinks, not 1. Blah, 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 blah. And you're like, no, I don't want to make those changes. Like, no way. This is exactly how I want it. This could be the month where we are in that space of like, oh shit, if I actually want to share my life in a co-creative space with other very sovereign beings, there may be some growth I need to do. And I need to be really, really honest with myself, like really honest with the people around me to hold steady the integrity that I've cultivated for myself in this year. So yeah, we get to October. Yeah, Pluto's going to move direct. Mercury's going to move direct. We have a full moon in Aries. That's like a reflection of, well, we have these two okay, like this is the house I've built. This is the house I've built. How are we going to like create a community around these really like new independent houses that we have here? And we're going to need to communicate with Mercury and Libra to create harmonious communication. Saturn's like, well, whatever you guys decide, Pluto and Saturn are moving direct now. Whatever you guys decide, we're moving forward with the rest of the framing. So you better figure it out because all the materials have arrived and we're putting on the drywall and the insulation now. So that's kind of the energy. And then Venus and the Sun will conjunct and move together into Scorpio, and there'll be a new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio. So, and like immediately after, Jupiter goes back into Pisces. So all of that, like, I'm here, I'm out here, and I'm being seen, and this is what it means to be alive, and all that stuff. We're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, right. I remember. I need to double down back on my spiritual hygiene practices. Like summer was great. I felt so expanded. And now I'm remembering that like, in order for me to maintain this new character that I am, I need to reflect on who I am again. I need to have harmonious conversations. I need to realize that I'm a part of a living tapestry, take responsibility for that. I need to make sure that I'm really sensing what my personal needs and boundaries are, and talk about those with other people so that I don't get bulldozed over. I need to clear out and make space for new ways of being intimate with other people and intimate with my life. And I'm going to communicate from the space of what I intuitively feel and know, and double down on those spiritual practices that remind me of that connection that I have. Then Mars will retrograde, and that reconstruction or editing process will start with Mars that I talked about earlier. Then we get to November, we're on the tail end. I think this will be a 2-hour transmission actually. Then, oops, not transit, sorry. Edit chart data. We'll get to November. It's time to evaluate the truths that have emerged. And I feel it's because we've brought ourselves, right? We've shown up, we've had those vulnerable conversations, we've checked, like, oh yeah, you need more closet space, I need a bigger bathroom, all right, like we are going to share a community kitchen, and you like meat and I like vegetables or whatever, like these are the truths that have emerged. So if we're evaluating those truths, what could that mean? I feel that all the truths that have emerged, there's going to be some energy that's going to say, okay, we have all this information now. Let's dream a reality where we can merge all of these truths together, and we don't have to, we can peacefully coexist with each other. We can step into a space of intimacy, and we don't have to sacrifice ourselves to do that. It's a totally new paradigm of relationship that I think is emerging, and new relationship with everything. A new paradigm of relationship with living is like so big picture, but there will be specific places this shows up for you. Yeah, your personal reading would reveal that, but right now I'm just getting through the collective. So I feel like there could be an opportunity in this month of November to allow ourselves to kind of rest and come inward and think about the things that we will continue to experience more of in 2023. So I feel this is like the dreamer. This is it's the reflection of all of the treasures of truth that have emerged from that intimate conversation you've had with your life through Scorpio season. And the new moon in Sagittarius is very much this dreamer within you that's pointing toward the future and pointing toward an emergence of that character in relationship even more fully in 2023. Then Jupiter will move direct, and it's like we're going to feel like we're stepping into the future. December, we are definitely going to have our mind on next year, and we're going to be holding a new seed of hope through discipline. So the chart data 12. We're on the home stretch, y'all. So as we head into little December, Neptune's direct. So this sensation of like reconnecting to the bigger picture, reconnecting to our spiritual awareness of the whole and our role in the whole, as a soul, that is going to be kind of present for us in December. Mercury is going to have our conversation's all going to be about really doubling down on our true values. I think we've been evolving our value system. Every Christmas has felt different since 2019, to be honest. Every Christmas has felt very, very different. And you might not celebrate Christmas, but this realignment of what we truly value in our lives, that's been realigning more and more and more and coming into greater and greater congruence. And I feel that this December in 2022 is going to be even more beautifully fulfilling than any holiday season we've ever had. And there's going to be this Lilith opposite Pluto situation. It's going to be a total we're going to face a massive fear, and some repression due to our shame is just going to be like, I think it'll be very vulnerable. I think it'll be emotional. I think that I honestly think there won't be a lot of mental activity if you have the space to give yourself time to be quieter and stiller with your process. I just don't know if everyone will be like super mentally like focused on what's going on in December. I think it's more of a time to release and allow the the flow of and rest, the flow of like listening and going inward, resting, relaxing. And then so I think the discipline that I'm talking about here is actually just really honoring the character that you are, having discipline in your faith, to trust life, to know that life is holding you, that you've always been held by life, always, always, always. And I think that sometimes takes discipline to reunite ourselves with that faith that life is holding us, and that we've always been showing up to life to experience life, and that it's safe to feel alive. It's safe. And that takes discipline, I feel. And in December, I feel we're coming more and more and more to the discipline of showing up to our lives, to feel our life sinking in. And Venus will go through Capricorn again. She does every year, but she won't be retrograde this time. So it'll just be like receiving the harvest of value that we've invested in all year. And then Jupiter around the 20th, around the solstice, it's like, all right, I'm like ready for 2023. I think our minds are definitely going to be on the coming year. We're going to really, really be excited about it, because our confidence as creators is just going to be amplified, and we'll have our new moon seed planted even before Christmas, well before the 1st. So we're going to be like definitely feeling excited and planting seeds for the future. Entrepreneurs are going to be offering new things right before Christmas. There's going to be all kinds of new opportunities, things to step into. So, wow, this was a pretty robust report. And if you're still watching this report with me, if you actually had 2 hours of your day to listen to this, I am just so freaking grateful that you are here. I've been so excited to deliver this report ever since I started recording the personal readings for people, because I just saw what a powerful year the year ahead actually is. And man, I'm so grateful that my experience of being alive allows me to have these experiences with you. So again, if you haven't already, please like this video, please share it with as many people as you can possibly share it with, and please subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to be increasing my videos for the collective this year. There's going to be overviews for each of the 12 signs. I'm teaching astrology classes, so I'm going to be actually providing a lot of content that will help you learn more about your own chart as well. And of course, if you'd like to have a really one-on-one personal experience with me, learning your own chart and studying yourself and learning astrology, I have that class starting this weekend. You will be able to enroll for the month of throughout the month of January, but classes start and the lectures are dropping starting on Friday. So join that, or join the membership. The membership's only $30 a month. You'll receive daily astrological prompts that are in alignment with everything I just said. You'll be able to bring your consciousness to the awareness of what's happening that day. Like I told you, my goal is just to be more present with the experience of my life, no matter what I'm doing, no matter what I'm producing, no matter what I'm experiencing or receiving, and helping others to do the same. So there's a whole field of consciousness that once we connect to that, it actually brings our nervous system into congruence with our body, and brings our body into congruence with our hearts, and brings our hearts into congruence with our minds. Everything clicks into place. And that's the sensation of presence. And sometimes we've got to actually proactively focus ourselves to get that process started, or else we can feel very distracted or very overwhelmed or very disoriented or very like something's happening. I'm like, and that sensation makes us feel very unnerved, and it's super uncomfortable, and usually we'll grab something to help us cope with that weird sensation. And I hope that in 2022 you grab onto some alignment with what's happening on a cosmic level. You reach way up to the map of astrology, and that grounds you straight down into your lived experience of how you're actually alive. And so I'm providing that on a daily basis. And I would love for you to join me. And I'm calling it Lu Nation. So there's a river of birds in migration, a nation of humans with wings. I feel that the present life, ooh, that makes me emotional. That's actually a womb song that I learned from a woman named Michelle, and she learned it from another woman and another woman and another woman. The original lyrics were, there's a river of birds in migration, a nation of women with wings. And I changed it to humans with wings because we're all here in these bodies. And I believe that the sensation of presence actually feels like we have wings, like we're embracing with this expansion and bandwidth to the present moment. And it's just such a like fulfilling experience for life. And so I'm creating the nation of humans with wings, and humans with wings with the aid and assistance of Hermes, Mercury, to receive transmissions from fields of consciousness that every single person has access to, but hasn't quite learned how to reach to a certain degree. And so by tuning in daily to astrology, we strengthen the muscle that opens us up to a certain field of consciousness that helps us to feel held and loved and supported by our lives, that gives us a level of certainty that is far beyond our material resource certainty. It is a level of certainty and a faith in life that once you feel it, life just continues to manifest that support and that feeling of being held over and over and over in every single moment. And it's suddenly like safe to be present with anything. When you can feel everything, you can do anything. And I just want to leave you with that and invite you into the Lunation and join me. Like, please join me. I can't wait to see you, and I'll be seeing you a lot more on this channel this year. So thank you so much. Happy 2022. Thank you.